Welcome. I'm the Law Morris. You're watching the all-new LegalSpeak. Today we're going to be talking about Crash Team Racing, but more specifically we'll be talking about CTR Nitro Fueled and how a potential sequel could be a huge benefit to Microsoft in the whole Activision acquisition. In case you didn't know, back in January, Microsoft announced they would be acquiring Activision Blizzard for a cool $68.7 billion. Incredibly rude of them to not just throw in another 300 mil so that we could all be saying $69 billion. But, $68.7 billion, it's a lot of money. Obviously, this sort of acquisition can't be made overnight. There has to be an investigation by the FTC to ensure that the end result won't be too close to a monopoly in the gaming industry. Because of this investigation, Microsoft stated that they expect the entire acquisition process to take about 18 months. Which would finalize the deal sometime in summer 2023. Recently, Microsoft stated that the acquisition process is going well, so who knows? We might be seeing that deal finalize a bit sooner than originally expected. Once that deal is finalized, obviously there will be a bunch of games and IP that Microsoft will own, the biggest of which obviously being Call of Duty. But I think there are a few others that Microsoft should focus on that will give them a significant competitive advantage that Sony won't be able to immediately answer. At this point, the kart racer genre has been utterly dominated by Mario Kart for nearly 30 years. In that 30 years, there have been only 2 games that could really be called competitors: Diddy Kong Racing and Crash Team Racing. Both of those games came out in the 90s on the N64 and the PlayStation 1 respectively. And since then, Mario Kart has kind of just stood at the top of the mountain completely unchallenged. Their lack of competition could end up being a big opportunity for Microsoft. The remake of Crash Team Racing, called CTR Nitro Fueled, came out in 2019. And like a big stupid idiot, I hated it. I bought the game on PS4 the day it came out, thinking I was going to dive into a trip down nostalgia way, but what I got instead was a massive wake-up call. Turns out CTR is hard. Like, really hard. I played for all of about 2 hours, then I put it down, extremely frustrated that I was having difficulty getting past the second race on the medium difficulty. 3 years later, I decided to give it another try and found a cheat code for the game on Xbox. What I discovered on my second attempt is that yes, the game is definitely very hard, but it's got some significant design flaws that make it much harder than it needs to be. After winning each race, Aku Aku comes to the winner's podium and explains another racing mechanic to you. These mechanics include braking, drifting, and most importantly, boosting. The problem is that without knowledge of how to properly drift or boost, you're at a huge disadvantage when playing the game. So instead of getting mad that I had bought the same game twice and quitting, I chose to have someone on YouTube explain all the game's mechanics to me. Armed with my forbidden knowledge of how to actually play the game, I tackled that game again, and this time to significantly greater success. Once you actually know how to play the game, it is really fantastic, and I completely understand why I loved it so much when I was a kid. The tracks are well thought out with a huge variety of styles, obstacles, and challenges that all make sense within the context of their settings. Characters look different and do a perfect job of recreating their PS1 counterparts, and I'm thrilled to say that even as an avid Mario Kart player to this day, the racing mechanics of CTR Nitro Fueled are almost just as good. The game is fantastic, but I'm not really here to talk about or review CTR Nitro Fueled. The comparison to Mario Kart is an obvious one, but there are 2 things that are really important. First, Microsoft will outright own Activision and inherently Crash Bandicoot and all the spin-off titles by next summer. And second, Sony doesn't really have anything in the kart racer genre that has nearly the credibility that CTR has. If Microsoft were to immediately start Beanox on developing an all-new CTR sequel and give them the time and resources needed, the game could legitimately be a competitor against Mario Kart within just a few years. But most importantly, that is something that Sony isn't poised to do. The most Crash Bandicoot-esque game that Sony has in their active roster right now is Ratchet & Clank. Now, don't get me wrong, I really love Ratchet & Clank, and I think that it is truly a fantastic series, but Insomniac seems to be Sony's top dog right now, and they've already announced their next 2 games that are currently in development. I would bet that Spider-Man 2 will come out in fall 2023, at the absolute soonest. And after that, I would give Wolverine at the very least 2 more years to hit the market. So that means that an extremely conservative estimate, has Naughty Dog booked for at least the next 3 years. Add the time it would take to adapt Ratchet & Clank into a kart racer and develop an entirely new game, and we're looking at Sony's competitive kart racer being anywhere from 4 to 6 years away. In that same vein, Microsoft should lean even harder into both Crash and Spyro. Toys for Bob is rumored to be working on Crash Bandicoot 5. The acquisition of Activision is a monumental undertaking, and one that will undoubtedly change the industry forever. Obvious titles like Call of Duty, Diablo, Overwatch, and Warcraft will work to the benefit of the Xbox ecosystem. But if Microsoft leans into the potential of the less exciting IP they'll be getting in the deal, then they could be up and running competing with Nintendo in a way that Sony wouldn't be able to match for at least a few years. If you think I'm a big stupid idiot, thanks for making it this far in the video. If you don't, and you actually like what I had to say, make sure to subscribe for more videos like this one in the future. I finally figured out a decent way to shoot videos again since moving into a new place, so I'm hoping to have more for you coming out soon. Until then, just go play some games.